Have you ever stopped to think about how we describe God? We use all these different words, powerful, merciful, just. But how can a single, unified being have so many different qualities all at once? It's a fascinating philosophical puzzle, and we're going to dive right into it. So here's the central paradox, right? On one hand, you have this idea of one single, indivisible God. But on the other hand, we describe that same being with a whole list of attributes: powerful, merciful, just, wise. How can so many different and sometimes seemingly opposite ideas all exist within one perfect unity? And let's get really specific here. How can a being be both the most stern and, at the exact same time, the most gentle? I mean, to our minds, those sound like total opposites. It feels like a contradiction. But as we're about to see, it's actually a clue to something much, much deeper. Okay, so the key that unlocks this whole puzzle is a really powerful concept called the oneness of attributes. And this is going to completely shift how we think about these qualities. We're moving away from seeing them as a simple list of separate traits and toward a much more integrated, holistic reality. So what is the oneness of attributes exactly? Well, it's this profound idea that any single divine quality we can name, let's say mercy, isn't just a standalone thing. It actually contains and reflects all the other attributes too. So when we witness an act of mercy, we're not just seeing mercy, we're also seeing justice and wisdom and power, all wrapped up into one single perfect expression. Right, so this is the crucial point. The attributes we talk about are kind of like windows. We might be looking through the window we call mercy, but the view we're getting is the entire landscape of divine perfection. Our limited human perspective just slaps a label on it, but the reality is infinitely more complex and, unified. I know, this can feel a little abstract. So let's make it super concrete with a simple analogy from the source material. It's going to sound a bit mundane at first, but trust me, it brilliantly illustrates this whole idea. We're going to talk about a bicycle. Okay, so imagine this. You ask a very wealthy friend for something that's fast, comfortable, and elegant, and they give you a bicycle. Your first thought, from your limited point of view, is probably disappointment, right? You're thinking, it's just a bike. It's not fast like a car. It's not super comfortable. This feels cheap. But is it really? This is where we gotta shift our perspective. You want it fast? Well, that bike is way faster than a car on those narrow city paths. You want it comfortable? What's more comfortable than the feeling of getting home quickly and efficiently? And you want it elegant? Honestly, what's more elegant than a perfectly wise and practical solution? See? That one single gift actually had every single quality you asked for. And this is what just nails the point. The gift wasn't just a bicycle. It was an act of connection that was, at the same time, fast and comfortable and wise. The separation between all those qualities, that only existed in our initial, limited way of looking at it. The reality of the gift was perfect and unified. Okay, so let's scale this idea way up. If a simple little bicycle can hold so many qualities all at once, what happens when we look at something huge, something on a grand, natural scale, like rain falling from the sky? A single act of rain suddenly becomes this incredible symphony of attributes. It's an act of the giver, providing water for us to drink. It's an act of the merciful, bringing life back to the dry earth. It shows the powerful who governs all of nature, and the wise, because it falls at just the right time and in the right place. It reflects the all-knowing who knows exactly what's needed, and the just, because it arrives in a perfectly stable and measured way. All of these things are happening simultaneously in every single drop. So what do the bicycle and the rain actually teach us? The big takeaway here is all about recognizing the absolute perfection that's present in any single act. Here's the core idea, the most important thing to get. In any divine act, not a single attribute is ever left behind. It's not like God decides, today I'll be merciful, but I'll leave justice on the shelf for a bit. No, that's how we think. That's our human way of doing one thing at a time. The divine reality is one of total, complete integration. And think about it this way. You can't have true mercy if it's not built on a foundation of justice. And there's no real wisdom if it's not rooted in mercy. These qualities aren't fighting each other. They're inseparable parts of one single perfect will. One always, always implies the other. So, in the end, that paradox we started with, it's not actually a paradox in reality, it's a paradox we create in our own limited minds. We are the ones who put things in boxes, who label and separate everything. We see sternness over here and gentleness way over there. But the divine reality is a perfect, seamless, integrated oneness where all those qualities are actually one and the same. And this leads us to one last really fascinating question. We often hear about the 99 names or attributes. But if every single attribute already contains all the others, if they're infinite and totally inseparable, does it even make sense to try and count them? Or is the reality of divine perfection something that is and kind of has to be truly beyond number? Definitely something to think about.